Cisco 49 is deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Garrison Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the sideline.
Do we get the countdown?
Yeah, it's in the top left-hand corner.
I can. Oh, we've started.
That's fine. I all said it out at the beginning anyway.
Okay. Well, we're back, baby. It's the 49er Faithful UK show. New season, new players, new coaches, new hopes and dreams, and the same old faces on the podcast. I'm Gareth Ellis, and I'm joined by Nadgy Lee.
Hello, everyone.
And Lee Gowland.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
I'm good. I should leap in before anyone turns off in utter disgust. Paul Hope will be joining us this season. He just can't make it for this evening's recording. So don't panic, anyone. Keep listening. He will be back soon. We know he's going to be missed. But good to see both of you, gentlemen. You're both looking well. Good summers?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I mean, it's been the typical English summer, hasn't it?
Yeah, very wet.
Even worse than typical, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a better one. Although it's blue sky now, so, it's getting better. So,
should we start off with some news, or indeed the total lack of any news regarding Nick Bosa's new contract? Any squeaky bums from you, gentlemen, regarding this worrying delay?
No. I don't see it so much as a worrying delay. I mean, we've seen it with Fred's contract. We've seen it with a couple of contracts now. It'll get done. It'll be done in the time that they want it to be done. There's absolutely no way that we're going to let Bosa walk. So he'll get something that's in between what he wants and what the team needs.
Yeah,
no worries from Nadgy?
No, none at all. If the past is an indication, we signed Debo, we signed Fred, we signed George, we signed everybody that made the team who we are, and there's no way we can lose this guy. I do because we wouldn't get anything from it. If it was a trade or whatever, and you get four first round pick or whatever, then maybe you can talk yourself into it. But I'm not worried. They're just working on numbers and all that, and as Lee just said, Parag working his magic. So Bosa's happy, the team's happy, and we're happy. That's all. But it'll be there. Don't worry.
Yeah, no worries for me. I think we've been budgeting for this extension from the day we drafted him. So I'm feeling it's just a logistical thing of getting that many Securicor trucks free on the same day to deliver the bundle of cash that's going to appear in Bosa's driveway in the next couple of weeks. So I can't see him going anywhere at all. The camp is well underway without Nick Bosa. The pads are on, and we're gearing up for the first pre-season game on Sunday against the Raiders. Is it really only Sunday? Fantastic. We've got to start where the entire off-season stories have been with the QB battle. Who wants to kick this off? And I'll start with Lee then, while Nadgy steels himself to discuss this.
So what I'll say to start off with about the quarterback battle, I think we've done really well to stay away from that storyline because I think it's a non-story. It's been done to death for the last 2-3 months by all the different content creators who all have a different angle every week on what this quarterback battle is. I think what has become obvious ever since that Purdy was cleared to play again, Purdy's number 1, Lance's number 2, Darnold's number 3. I think that's quite clear. I think that's the mindset of what both Kyle and John have. They still have confidence that Lance can be the guy that they need him to be, but at the moment, Purdy's obviously earned the right or the opportunity to be starter. And just listening to what Shanahan's saying, he believes Purdy's the guy. He believes he's the real deal. He can go out and he can win him games. And because of the type of season that we enter at the moment, next season we're going to have a few cap issues, which may mean we lose a star or two. At the moment, we can be classed as being in win-now mode. And that's why he believes in Purdy. Purdy won him some games last season. If it wasn't for that injury, there's a very good chance that we'd have won the Super Bowl. A very good chance. We had a fighting chance there. But obviously it wasn't to be because of the injuries. So in my mind, I don't think there's any quarterback battle. I think Shanahan knows exactly who he wants, in which order. I think they're just out there gearing up for the season. From what I've heard in camp from the content creators who turn up to the open practices, you can definitely tell which camp a content creator is sat in because all the different reports are different.
yeah.
So some have got Purdy's been outstanding, others have got Lance has been outstanding, some have said Donald's been outstanding.
Yeah.
They've all got an angle, and it kind of runs true to who they've been kind of promoting in the past. There's one or two that turn around and give quite a balanced view of the quarterback situation, which is good. And luckily enough, it's the guys that we normally promote anyway. But yeah, it's been interesting to watch it because the fan base was teetering on implosion. Everybody was fighting each other on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Threads. It's sad to see because for some people, you either have to like Purdy or you have to like Lance. You cannot like both.
Yeah.
And I just can't get my head around that. Either one of them's going to be a 49ers quarterback. I like them all. I like Darnold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like all three. Whoever's going to be under centre come the start of the season, they're going to get 100% of my support. If they get injured and the next person comes in, they're going to get 100% of my support. Yeah. And if they get injured and the next person come in, they'll get 100% of my support.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I can sum up what is supposed to be a quarterback battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that all you've got to say on the subject, Nadgy? Which is fine.
No, I just, I think I've been quite vocal, last season leading to the draft and everything. I'm 100% behind this guy as long as I knew he was going to be ready and I knew he was going to be throwing at training camp and, he turned up days before and he was fine. So, yeah, obviously he took us to an NFC championship. It was a joint effort. And Jimmy did play 8 games and Trey did play 2. So, yeah, I don't really follow training camp. I haven't followed any stories or anything. The only thing I've been seeing is snap count and percentage completion for all 3 QBs against whom and everything, which, that's all you need to see. Purdy's taking the majority of the reps with the first team, and then it's Trey, and then it's Donald. So that's all I care right now. Until, and touch wood, there is an injury or something happens that shifts the order, then we'll go there. But at the moment, we've got 3 QBs on a roster. We might well need all those 3 guys to win the Super Bowl because that's the goal this year. So I don't care. I don't want to go in a debate, and I'm happy talking about each other's strengths and what they can bring to the team, and etc. That's totally fine. But choosing a camp and standing your ground on a hill and dying on it to support one or the other is a little silly. It's just training camps. Yes, they've got pads on, but they don't really allow to tackle each other. There's no, it's not football, not yet. I know football's back, but not really, not yet. But yeah, you led with this. No news, and that's all you want at training camp. You don't want any news. You don't want to turn on, whatever social media platform you're using these days, X, because Twitter is dead, and to see that one of our stars is being carted off the field. That's all that matters here. These guys are getting back up to speed, and all that matters is September and week 1 against the Steelers. That's all I care about. I'll be watching against the Raiders probably for about 20 minutes and then turning it off. But yeah, that's all that matters really. Everybody's healthy. Everybody seems to be gelling with what they're doing really well and getting better, and that's all we can hope for. And it is ramping up though. I'm looking at starting to get a bit excited about seeing our team play football again. It's been a while. But as you said, Lee, we don't do breaking news. Trey Lance threw one more pass than Brock Purdy. It's like, who cares?
Exactly.
It's so boring. And that's not what we do. And we will never do that. Trying to have fun and be objective, supporting whoever is wearing red and gold. What about you? Are you excited about QB? To be fair, it's a little different this time around. It's Jimmy last year, and pretty much just him and Trey. And I mean, Trey had the job off the bat, didn't he? There was no controversy whatsoever. And then we had Jimmy. There's never been a QB battle. It's been a while. We've had, Alex Smith and Cap was the last one we had. Kinda. It wasn't really a battle. But yeah, it's interesting that there is a battle, if you can call it that. What do you think, Gareth?
I think the battle is between second and third string. Really, I think that is a potential battle. I don't think Trey's going to go anywhere. No one's seen enough of him to give us any sort of trade value for him. We're not going to cut him because we earn nothing and we're in that win now mode. And I think it was all decided as soon as day one of camp and Purdy rocks up and he's on a slightly limited 2 days on, 1 day off schedule, but clearly shows that he's rehabbed and he's recovered. I think that really put any quarterback battle to bed. Clearly he's Shanahan's guy. We saw last season that there's just something. Shanahan trusts him. Maybe he just sees the game in the way that Shanahan does, and there's just something clicks there. And I think that's tough for Trey Lance, but you never saw that chemistry at any point that Shanahan and Purdy just seem to have a level of trust. And I think as soon as you establish that, it's Shanny's team. He knows who he wants. It's Purdy's job. I think there may be interest behind, but I don't even know if they'll actually. They've obviously got to do the depth chart. I don't know whether they can put them both as QB2 because if all three are suiting up for games, until there's an injury, we don't really know who's 2 and 3. Darnold might have a bit of trade value though. He's only got a 1-year contract. But any other teams out there, I can certainly see these preseason games being a shop window potentially for both of those guys. So that's possibly the only real battle that might be out there. But there we go. We'll get into some of the rookies a little bit later, but some of the second or even third year players. Anyone making waves in camp? Anyone you think is going to break out and make a bid for even a starting job? Lee?
Yeah, so if you're going to move, if we're talking about starting job, that's different to what I was going to say. But if you just expanded that 2 to 3 year veterans to a fourth year veteran,
okay, just for you, Lee.
Then we have a conversation. Okay.
Go on,
so I was telling Nadgy off air before we start recording that the most interesting thing I've seen that's come out of camp, and the reason I find it interesting is because of the source of this news. Is the fact that Kinlaw is looking like an absolute beast and he's the standout performer on defense. And the reason I find it interesting is over the last couple of years, you've heard both John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan turn around and kind of big up Kinlaw because of the injuries. And I'm always kind of suspicious of that because I know how they like to drum up trade value. If they're thinking about trading a player, and obviously he hasn't lived up to expectations at the moment. But this year, the source has been content creators who've been at open practice and viewed it themselves, and other players, which you haven't heard over the last couple of years. So you've got players turning on saying, Kinlaw is an absolute beast, he's over his injuries, he's fitter than he's ever been, and you're seeing that performance in camp. He's the standout performer on defense. So, granted, we're coming into a contract year. So, let's hope it's not the contract year performance increase that you see across the board. Hopefully, he is over his injuries. I think the problem that we will have coming the end of the year, if he does perform, is obviously we haven't picked up his 5th-year option, and because of that, he can test free agency unless we can give him a new contract. The likelihood of we giving him a new contract with him being a first-round pick and he's having a stellar year is we won't be able to afford that. As I mentioned earlier on, we're coming into a year where at the end of the season we're going to have a few cap issues, and I fully expect to lose a star or two to get around those cap issues.
Yeah.
So I don't believe we'll risk spending that money on Kinlaw. If he has a great season, he will be on a different team next year. And if he doesn't have a good season, he will be on a different team next year.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think the right team is on a for him.
So that's the first guy. So if you want to kick in now, Nadgy, and pick anybody out before I name the next two people. If you've got anybody that you want to talk about.
I mean, as a starter, I don't think there's really that many people that could come into this team and take anyone away. That's especially after the season we've just had. It's very, very difficult to pin one position. I think the only one that I could potentially see would be safety. If Gibson starts showing his edge and maybe isn't as good as that one more year doesn't quite pan out the way he wanted it, and now rookie Jaya Brown is showing that he can handle it. There might be a shift there, but even that, it's quite a long shot to. I think even if Jaya had performed Gibson, I would expect Gibson to start just purely on experience and chemistry with Huff and the rest of the secondary. But that's probably the only spot really that I would really truly look at, because we know that Tashawn Gibson is here for 1 year only, before he retires. Apart from that, I don't know. D Winters maybe, if Greenlaw has issues, injuries and stuff like that again. Again, I think any position would be because of an outside fighter, probably not performance related solely. So, people that used to be and are injured quite often, maybe might lose their job if one of the rookies or those new guys, like McCrary Bold, had an amazing preseason last year. I'm expecting him to have a bigger role this year. Those kind of guy, I think, maybe could push for definitely a solid backup role. Starting, I'm not sure. But this is why you want to watch Sunday, and you want to watch, late into the second quarter, third quarter, maybe not the fourth. That's the 90-man roster playing for their lives. But because you can see maybe a couple of those guys making big plays and starting to weave their paws into the team. Anybody you can think of, Gareth? I mean, I've mentioned loads. I'm sorry, rambling again.
That's all right. We're used to it. It's good to see you getting into the groove for the new season, and mentioning a load of rookies, not second, third year players. But there we go.
Yeah, true. Sorry, my bad.
I'm a bit reluctant because Lee's got a few lined up. Maybe I can toss out a couple of names. Jordan Mason seems to be making a few waves. Tyrion Davis-Price, people have said he's made a big leap. As you mentioned, Macquarie Ball, people are saying that even though we've drafted two linebackers and got Oren Burks, that he's potentially going to force his way through, and that year on the practice squad is going to prove that he's made the most of that year, and put his head down, and he's come to camp ready to work and ready to go. And again, it's all second-hand information, but Danny Gray, I've heard that he's made a bit of a leap. I think he talked about his personal choices. He's decided to remove a lot of things from his life other than football. And a few people are saying he's running crisp routes. He's where he's supposed to be. He's trusting himself. He's got good hands. And of course, he's got that speed that we perhaps haven't had in terms of a flat-out speedster, regardless of everything else that Debo and Ayuk bring. There's a roster spot there for somebody to win. How much of your thunder have I just stolen there, Lee?
The very first two people he named were the two people I had on my list. So Jordan Mason and TDP.
Yeah, but
I'm expecting both of them.
As much as we want to talk positively about them, we still have CMC on the team. We're going to want CMC to play as much as he can, right? So it's one of those.
I do have a concern. Mitchell's been out again, out of practice, and that's it's not looking great. So I can certainly see Mason or TDP potentially taking quite a few snaps if Mitchell begins to struggle during the season again, which we all hope he doesn't. We all want to see him fit for a season again after his rookie season. But I can certainly see one of those guys doing the hard yardage and keeping CMC fresh.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And you mentioned the other one as well, McCrary Ball. So McCrary Ball, I actually have down as potentially having a starter's role.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible if we ever need, to not go nickel and go with three linebacker. It might be the third one. Yeah, for sure.
With Shire
defense
leaving, it's one of the few
Yeah.
really open roster spots.
Yeah,
Probably the most
know,
open roster spot. So
I think most defense starts nickel now, with two linebacker and an extra nickel corner. But sometimes you do go for three and truly three linebackers, and I think he could definitely be one of those guys. So he is on the starting sheet for sure, even though it doesn't really mean anything these days. That's good. I mean, TDP and Jordan Mason, they've been amazing. I think, Elijah Mitchell is one of those guys that even if he plays a full season, I could easily see us get rid of him. Not that running backs are getting paid, but they're definitely, cheaper options on the market. I think he's one of those guys that we could see next year. I mean, to me, this year and this training camp and seeing these people is very much about. I know, and I'm going to talk about this all season, so get ready for this. But obviously we're in the win now. I don't think we've been in so much win now than we are this year.
Yeah.
I think it's been a long time where we, since Young and those years where we've pretty much started to win it. But we all know how incredibly hard it is to do it, and what it takes to win that trophy. But there's also, the underlying issues are, yes, we are going to lose people, and it's going to be, do we want to follow the Rams path and fall apart and crumble, or do we want to build a dynasty and make sure that this window may be a little bit more closed next year, but still kind of very much open? That's that's what I really want. Yes, this year is important, but I want the next 10, 15 years to be equally as important or close to, because you can't just go with one shot and be lucky. It's possible it happens, the Rams, but it's very, very hard to do, and many teams have tried and failed. I would rather go the Patriots route and be good for a long time rather than good-ish and then very good once and get lucky kind of thing. So I'm gonna be looking forward to all these battles, this intrinsic little shift in who can go, who can stay, and who knows who we're gonna lose. And I wouldn't be surprised if big names. I think we might have to have a bold prediction extravaganza where one of us choose the player that's gonna leave that people are not gonna be happy about. I've got a good idea, maybe, but
maybe that's a conversation.
That sounds
for
interesting.
Later.
Yeah, this definitely, it's going to be an ongoing conversation, isn't it? I mean, who knows where we're going to be in November or end of October? Could you predict it now? Last year that Brock Purdy would be starting and winning 8 games, and let's see where the season takes us. Yeah,
somebody did predict it.
Yeah, well, I did actually. Yeah. We both did actually. That's true.
You've been a bit quiet on your boy Sammy Womack. Haven't heard a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously the Isaiah Oliver signing means that he's
so
far
Isaiah
from
Oliver is obviously well apparently he's slotted in. He's penciled in to play outside. Yeah, he's penciled in to play outside. Yeah,
really.
Yeah, that's where they want him to play. And apparently that's where he played most of his time in college as well. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, because we seem to have a stacked cornerback room now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at so I've got my I've got the roster up in front of us, the 90 man roster. I do have Sammy Womack making the 53.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want us to go into this at the moment, Gareth, because this might step on your toes later. Just trying to think. So we've got rookies and undrafted free agents, and I'm probably going to talk a little about those because
it's never stopped you before.
Defensive back.
It's never stopped you before, Lee.
So
just segue
turn
straight
over a new leaf.
Segue straight into
know.
rookies,
You never know.
and that's fine. That was next up anyway. So segue seamlessly in.
So when you look at the cornerbacks that we've got, there's talk about how we can kind of stash these. So at the moment, my expectation is that Darrell Luter Jr. will end up on PUP or IR this season. because he's carrying an injury. It's not particularly bad injury, but it's an excuse to stick him on IR or PUP and save him from going on to the practice squad and potentially being picked off. The other people I have dropping into the practice squad or potentially being released is Ambry Thomas and Quantrez Knight, which I'm disappointed that I've picked him because I've only just bought a signed helmet by him, and I kind of wanted him to be quite good. And I think he is playing really decently good. I think the problem we've got is we've got too many players who are playing at a reasonable level at cornerback. So cornerback, I have us keeping 5 on the roster to start the season, and that would be Lenore, Ward, Oliver, Womack, and Jameson. Deshaun Jameson, the undrafted free agent, has apparently been playing like a veteran. He's been playing lights out on defense, and he's impressed quite a few people. You hear it from the coaching staff, you're hearing it from the beat writers, you're hearing it from the content creators, you're hearing it from so many people. He must be having an absolute stellar camp so far. And when you hear that, it tends to be a case of we keep him on the 53 rather than risk him going on the practice squad. And you have those people who've had a quiet camp on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I've chose Sammy Womack over some of the others is because Sammy Womack also has that special teams value.
True.
You saw how good he was last year.
Yeah.
I mean, every time there was a punt return or a punt, you're looking at Sammy Womack to make a play there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got that. And from what we saw in pre-season last year, we were quite surprised that he kind of lost his starting spot so early into the season, because in pre-season he was absolutely excellent. And I think another off-season he'll come on just like Diomedol Lenore did. So I can see Sammy Womack stepping up. Obviously, for him to do that, it's going to have to be an injury to either Lenore, Ward or Oliver for him to step in and take that role. But obviously all those three aren't necessarily going to be playing every single snap either. So he could be coming in substitute packages and making a play there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think at the moment the cornerback room is looking quite healthy indeed. Quite healthy. And my biggest concern, well, it's not my biggest concern, my biggest gripe is that Sammy Womack's changed his number to 0, and I'm still waiting for me 2 jerseys to turn up, which are both 26.
When he's,
I'm
in the Hall of Fame,
disappointed.
When he's in the Hall of Fame, those will be collector's items for his first season.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
What about you,
It's a
Nadgy?
good,
Beyond the corners?
Yeah, the thing is, it's very hard to predict what Kyle's going to do with his rookies, because he's obviously notoriously very bad at trusting them. Rightfully so, I think, most of the time. So it wouldn't surprise me, even if you hear a lot of noise about a player that's been tearing camp apart, not to make the 53 and end up, in a practice squad. That's what we do. I think we've built, the team we have now with this mentality of, yes, you're good, but you need to learn what we do and you need to learn how you do it. We're going to put you on the practice squad for a year. And if you're still around then by all means you'll have another shot and you'll be better prepared. And if you made noise in this training camp, you should be making noise in the next one too. And then we can go from there. I do agree with you that we should try and, keep the ones that make the most noise on the 53, because they're a lot less likely to get picked up, when they get dropped from the roster. For the people that don't know, because we are at the beginning of the season, we might have some new listeners, who knows. But we start with 90, so we have 90 players right now. We're losing 6 on the first one, 4, 6, so not many. The first cut after Sunday.
I thought the first cut was quite a big one, wasn't it?
Is it the first one that's a big one? I can't remember.
10. I think it's 10. But
so it's 10, so we go down to 80. Anyway, those players get added into a waiver, so a list which other teams can pick from before we can re-sign them to a different type of contract. So unfortunately, and you'll see that as soon as the first cut happens, you'll see names being picked up by other teams straight away. Oh, this guy's been signed to the Dolphins, this one's been signed to whatever, and then that particular player would then join their camp, their training camp and start and try and make the final 53. It's not actually 53 anymore. It's 56, isn't it? Or thereabouts, because there's 2 extra linemen and an extra player that don't count against the cap. Anyway, complicated rule NFL stuff that you don't necessarily need to know about. So is it 10 the first round of cut?
Have you got that information in front of you, Gareth? I think it might be 10, you know.
I thought it was 10. I thought it was 90 and 80, and then because it's the last cuts that are quite brutal.
That's the big one. Yeah. It used to be a lot more. What do I mean?
Well, I assume maybe it's come out of the collective bargaining agreement, and it's an opportunity to release players where the coaches can say, look, there might be a future for you in the NFL. We're too stacked at your position. You're not going to make it on our team. And releasing them early, it gives them an opportunity to shop around and maybe find another team that's thin at that position.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all know this league is brutal. When it comes to cutting players and getting rid of players and signing new players or whatever, or making, the amount of money they give to certain people. A guy called Davin Cook still doesn't have a team, which is absolutely insane. But this is the nature of the business, isn't it? Look for that. It's really hard to see. The first round is usually, the pathway program. So all the players that are not from America that haven't played football for 20 years, something like that, are definitely going to get cut. I want to talk about this guy here because he's one of our rookie that actually is probably the most important rookie we have right now in terms of the team dynamics. We go from Goodall's Gold to Mr. Moody. Apparently he's been nailing. I've heard a couple of things that he's been nailing good field goal, and field goal, that's the one thing you can actually transition not too hard into a game. If you're nailing them in practice, you're probably going to nail them in a game, kind of.
The pressure is very different. That you can't.
The pressure is very different.
You can't create that for a kicker.
Jake Moody played at Michigan for 4 years or 3 years. That stadium is 110,000 people, so I'm sure he can handle pressure pretty well. So that probably doesn't, he's not going to lose that.
Right.
But he's done pretty well.
Sorry, go for it. Nadgy, but if I'm reading this correctly, there's been a rule change about the roster cuts.
There we go.
So if I'm reading this correct, there's just one date for roster cuts now.
Oh, really? What?
Wow.
No, surely not.
Yeah.
Carnage Day.
So additionally, there will just be one date for the roster cuts. So on roster cut down day, there'll be over 1,000 players being cut.
Wow.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's brutal. That really is.
That is brutal.
Wow. Did not know.
Imagine
about
how
that.
busy that first week and a half is going to be, though. Because as Nadgy said, the first thing that teams do is that they go and have a look and try and pick up players that have been cut from other teams who they quite fancied, but they couldn't get them because of various different reasons.
But I take it all of those players technically get waived for the 24 hours? Or was it just sort of a cut outright?
August 29th. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
I think they just get cut outright. It's not until the season starts. I think you have to make the 53 or the 56 man roster before you can be waived.
Yeah. Wow.
Is that right?
That's tough. That's tough on the players.
No, because they're all under contract right now, so you do waive them no matter what. Because they are under contract, they're getting paid to be at training camp, so they're part of the franchise and the club. Wow, one big cut, 37 player in one day. Wow.
So officially they can do that now. So they can go. Go from 90, down to 56. What I would imagine we'd see is after each different game, you're going to see players getting cut and other players getting picked up.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the best way that organisations can best judge what the strongest roster is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Because
you know,
if you have not-
injuries and things you might need and
Yeah,
replace.
yeah.
So, yeah, wow. Well, breaking news. You should have done a breaking news thing. That's quite crazy.
Yeah. It was
Crazy
but yes,
indeed.
you know,
It was always going to be a tough, I think, for any of the rookies to make the squad with such a loaded squad in front of them, particularly with so many draft picks. Who do you think might make it straight onto the roster? I imagine a lot. Well, other than Jake Moody, I think he's probably the one lock, and probably Shair Brown.
Deshaun Jameson, who was an undrafted free agent, I think he'll make it.
Okay.
From the guys that we actually drafted,
I think Winters might make it. I hope.
Yeah, I think
hope
Winters.
So. Did we
I think Braden Willis will. I think
Braden Willis will.
So one of the names that I think will get cut is Ross Dwelly, because he's fallen behind Charlie Warner in the pecking order behind. So he's number 3 at the moment, or he was last year.
Yeah.
And I think from all accounts, Braden Willis has been the better of the 2 tight ends we picked up.
Yeah.
And we've been keeping 4 tight ends. So I can see Ross Dwelly getting cut and potentially Braden Willis and Cameron Latu making the final roster. But Cameron Latu, I'm not too sure about.
I'm not sure either. I think we might keep 2 fullback this year.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think if we let Jack Coletto go, somebody will pick him up. Yeah, because apparently he hasn't been outstanding. He's been an intriguing prospect in camp.
Yeah, I mean
he can do many different things.
And that's why he's here, right? And the understudy of Mr. Juszczyk. There's only so many more seasons Juszczyk has in his locker. He's been in the league for a while. I think it would be smart to try and plan his replacement as soon as possible, even if it takes 3-4 years, right? At least you have this rookie guy that doesn't take a pounding somewhere else and then comes back.
Yeah.
It's always the interesting thing. I think all you can do is keep an eye on the games. The games are a big indication, although maybe they count for 30% of the final decision. Training camp is obviously everyday practice. That's what matters the most. That even the personality is important. I think we have a team that's built quite in a certain way. Certain players just definitely wouldn't fit, even if they were the best in the world. So that's interesting to see. I really wish we had a Hard Knocks sometimes, just to be in there a little bit more and kind of see the teams from the inside, even though it's all romanticized and dramatized and written, and it's not quite exactly how it is. It would be nice to be. I mean, Josh Killer on Hard Knocks would just kill, wouldn't he? It'd be amazing to see. But yeah, I think that's what this season is about. It's maybe discovering new players that are going to be with us for a while, and then just getting reacquainted with some old faces and getting excited for football in September. And I don't want to make any prediction on who's getting cut, who's not. I don't follow it enough. I haven't been to practice.
I don't mind doing that. I've already got my 50.
For it.
I mean,
give it your 53. Go.
The 53. Okay.
No, don't do it.
Please,
now.
No.
Do it forever.
I'll tell you what, somebody that we haven't spoken about, and but I have heard, I had high hopes for him, and I think those high hopes were a little bit misguided. So Clennon Farrell, he's apparently, he hasn't had a great camp. He almost caused an injury to Purdy by hitting his injured arm. He's not looking great. So it looks as though his stay might be very short-lived indeed. Robert Beale Jr., who we picked up in the draft, I haven't really heard much about him, other than he has been struggling a little bit, which is quite worrying because that's really only going to leave us with 3 defensive ends that
we
any good.
We picked up Taco Charlton. which might
We did pick up
which
Chapel
might
Charlton.
lead into your
was not here.
idea maybe of Farrell not panning out, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean,
Another
you know,
Kovacic restoration project.
yeah, that's exactly D-line, come back here and make yourself a
The
career.
D-line rehab.
The D-line rehab centers. Yeah, I mean, we still have Kiriada and Kevin Givens. You know,
Yeah.
I'm expecting Drake Jackson to ramp up this season. I hope he has much more of a role. So I'm not too worried if Clayton Farrell doesn't pan out. I think Austin Bryant will be a good addition too. And you know, we've got Javon Hargrave, so we don't need the ends. We just go straight for the middle. Just get sacked that way. So yeah, I'm not worried about the D line, even less than I was last year.
You know, it's gonna be interesting, given the news that's coming out of camp about Kinlaw, whether or not we see both Hargrave and Kinlaw going up the middle.
Yeah.
And Eric Armstead pushed
Armstead
to
back
the opposite
outside.
end.
Yeah.
To Bosa.
Yeah. That would be
Interesting.
amazing. I think Armstead is much better when he's outside. More impactful. I wouldn't say better. I would say definitely more impactful. We all remember the Buckner Armstead years. And when Buckner was inside, it was pretty unstoppable D line. So yeah, that would be great if Kinlaw can stay healthy. Touch wood again. That would be very good. I think again it will be a very scary D line. We do have a new defensive coordinator, so see what he's going to cook up is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I'll be watching on Sunday. See what our defense does. Even though he's probably not going to show us anything, because why would he until the season starts? But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the different tone. I'm sure it'll be very much of the same, slight nuances here and there probably. That's something I'm looking forward to.
Well, I think let's move on from the wild speculation of the rookies, and you segued me quite nicely there into Nadgy into Sunday's game where we face the Raiders and possibly our old friend Jimmy G if he plays.
He's not gonna play.
We should have a huge thank you to Jimmy G because he passed his physical, and we get a compensation pick for him. So thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah,
a third rounder,
much,
so not bad.
Yeah.
We paid a second for him and get a third back. What can we expect from this pre-season matchup, other than a lot of delays, flags, and some maybe a comedy moment or two?
Yeah, I'm not really expecting much. I think it'll be one series at most for the ones. Mostly vanilla play calling.
Yeah.
I think it's just about having a look at the guys that are going to be on the bubble.
Yeah.
See who can stand out.
George, Debo, Brandon, Ayuk, Purdy, Bosa, Warner, they're not going to play. I doubt they will. I mean, to be fair, I'm looking forward to Trey. I want to see where he's at. You know, we haven't seen him for almost a year. I want to see what he looks like. He might, he might surprise us. Might be more fluid and faster. God knows, right? We haven't seen him. I want to see Darnold, see what he looks like in this offense. He was, a first round pick back in the day and a very good USC quarterback, even further away. That's just. Do you remember how you and I, Lee, are on the same page on this? But do you remember how Brock looked in preseason? He had this air. There was something about him that just tickled my brain. It was weird. So maybe we can see some of that in those guys or anybody else that lines up. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And just to clarify for anybody that is new to the game, has just started listening to the podcast, when I talk about eye test, we're not saying that he's had an eye test and he can actually see. What we're saying is when we mention eye test is watch it with your own eyes. You can generally tell whether or not a player is any good or not. And Brock Purdy to us last off season, he kind of stood out.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the talk was about him looking like a mini Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
But then there was that little spark, that little something that you could see. Well, actually, he looks better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's moving better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going through his progressions really, really quickly. He knows exactly where to throw the ball. If you don't believe
us, go and listen to one of the off-season podcasts we did last year. It's somewhere on all of the platforms you can find podcasts too. Go and have a listen. And it was very early, but we were on board that train straight away,
Yeah, it
pretty
was.
much.
So I think it was just after the third preseason game.
Yeah,
when we
yeah,
did
something like
the
that.
review. Yeah.
And then when we did the ball projection extravaganza, I think we both had one for him. But yeah, no, just this is what I'm looking for. Just see the players and on the field and see what they look like, and see if you can suss out maybe a superstar in the making or somebody that's definitely not going to make it. Don't care about winning. Don't care about all that kind of stuff. What about you, Gareth? What are you looking for? You're looking forward to see Jimmy in black. He's not going to play, but
I'm not really going to be looking at the Raiders at all in preseason game. You're looking at the guys, and it's that eye test. Just like with Purdy, you're looking to see if there's a guy who stands out. I mean, Womack flashed a little bit in preseason. I think didn't he get those two interceptions, two good interceptions as well? They weren't just sort of tip ball. 3 in a game, was it? Well, he certainly got two in one game.
Yeah, 2 in one game, but 3. Yeah.
And it's Niners football. It's the long off season, and suddenly it's on the telly. It's the team, and it's pre-season. It's not usually much of a spectator feast, but it's Niners football, and I certainly can't wait for that. Should we wrap up with a little bit of our UK faithful news? Group admins, and by the group admins, basically, I mean Lee, has had quite a busy summer. Should we start with the watch party, Lee? You got a little bit of info on that.
So the watch party, it's 99.9% certain that's going to be in London. We saw certain about that I've already booked me travel, I've booked me hotel. Something major would have to happen for it not to be in London. And that's going to be on the 15th of October for the game against the Cleveland Browns. The actual venue, we expect to hear about that within the next 2 weeks. That we should be, that should be confirmed within the next 2 weeks, because they did tell us 6 to 8 weeks before the actual game that they'll give us more details, just so that people can actually book hotels closer to the actual venue itself. Yeah. If you've never been to a watch party, what you can expect, well, actually, I don't know, because they haven't released the details. What happened at the last watch parties? There was giveaway items. There was items for raffle where you didn't actually have to pay anything. You just had to pick up a ticket as you went in. There was giveaway stuff like foam fingers, towels. What was the other giveaway? Towels, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, rally towels, t-shirts, I think. Yeah, I'm sure there was a t-shirt.
Yeah, there might be.
And some of the stuff like that. But the main thing is, you get to watch it with 100 to 200 fellow 49er fans from the UK. And that's a great experience. Yeah. Well, all of us, probably.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. We'll see about it. It's no good time for me.
So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to turn up to. Obviously, definitely. You'd have to have the Monday off work to do that. So that's the watch party. Like I said, hopefully we'll have a few more details in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Definitely before the season starts, I would hope to do that. Because I've advised them that it needs to be at least 8 weeks beforehand so people can book accommodation and stuff. Outside of the watch party, this year we will be rearranging the Super Bowl meetup again. Last year I kind of took a break because I was that busy, and we kind of piggybacked on somebody else's Super Bowl party. Yeah. The venue wasn't great. I didn't feel as though it was. I didn't feel as though it was as good as the venues we've had in the past, where we had our own dedicated room, so it was only 49er fans in there. Although there wasn't, because we allowed other fans to come in who were friends of 49er fans. But it seemed to be a bit better atmosphere that way, and that's what I'm aiming for this year for the Super Bowl party. Whether or not it'll be back to Newcastle, which was the main Super Bowl venue, and we moved all the regular season ones around the country. I don't know. We'll have to take a view on that. See if anybody has some deals that they can give us a better venue. On to the gold mine. So for anybody that's, again, new to the podcast, the gold mine is a section within Levi Stadium. It's a fan chapter invite section only. So you don't pay for the ticket. You get in there free of charge, but there is some restrictions. So you have to be at Levi Stadium for 10 o'clock in the morning. You go in with the senior
for a
fan
1
engagement
o'clock game,
manager.
right?
That's for a 1 o'clock game. You go in, you have to sign a waiver, an injury waiver. So if you get hurt, it's your fault.
And the likeness
once you
waiver
get
as well.
and the likeness, yes, yeah. So
Forbid
they'll be taking
revenge.
photos of you, they'll be taking video, and it's just so the 49ers can use that at their leisure without you actually suing them. And then once you get inside the stadium, you'll be taken around to the gold mine section, you'll be shown where it is, and then you'll go through the rules of the gold mine section. So essentially, to be part of the gold mine section, you are a fan cheerleader. So when our defense comes onto the field, you are the one that starts off the defense chant, clapping your hands. You do that all the way down to 20 seconds remaining, and then you're supposed to make as much noise as possible. And that's done by cupping your hands and basically yelling like a madman.
Losing your voice slowly.
You have to stay in the section for the full game. You are allowed out to go to the toilet to get some food, get some drink. But what they say is, don't leave each row less than 2/3 full. So there's only 1/3 of the people in each row can go out at any one time. In reality, when we were there was very few people leaving anywhere. They went out one at a time. So it was a fairly full section. Now, there's some potential other perks with the gold mine. So weather dependent, we got on the field at the end of the game against the Saints last year. I think we were on the field for anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes. You are confined to one half of the field, and it's normally down towards the players' tunnel, because what you find in the corner is the interviewing players while you're on there. So you can go on there, take a football on, and throw it about with whoever you've got. That is if the weather's okay. If it's been absolutely lashing down and the team need to prepare the field for the next game, they tend to not let you on there. So it's hit and miss. It's in the laps of the gods to whether or not you do get that field pass. But that is one of the potential perks. You also get free access to the museum. So before the game starts, once you've done your walkthrough of what's happening, your safety briefing, you can then go off to the museum. You get in there free of charge. And obviously you get into the stadium an hour and a half before anybody else as well. So it's generally fairly empty in there, and you can have a wander about and have a look, see what's going on.
Yeah.
Get into the team store a lot earlier than anybody else to kind of do your shopping before it gets too busy.
Yeah.
The big thing about the gold mine is this year we are planning to take 40 people over there. The gold mine seats 40 people. Unfortunately, it doesn't seat any more than that. We currently have 73 expressions of interest. We've had 20 people confirm they are definitely going. So there's still 20 places there for the people who've already expressed an interest. We are due to hear whether or not it's going to be the Broncos game. We're due to hear whether or not it's going to be the Buccaneers game before the Broncos preseason game, which is on the 19th of August, so just over a week away. And then we should find out for definite that's going to be the Buccaneers game. From all accounts, it's looking highly likely that the 49ers will be hosting us on the 19th of November for the game against the Buccaneers. I think we're all looking forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to this because this is something that I've been trying to do for years now, to get a big group of us over there at the same time and basically have a faithful UK meetup. The last couple of times that I've tried this, there's the most that there's ever been is 7 or 8 people that have gone across there at the same time. So yeah, really excited about this because I think based off the atmosphere we've had at previous watch parties, I think having the gold mine full of 49er faithful UK fans is going to be absolutely epic. The noise is going to be tremendous.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good opportunity if you want to hear about how to get to San Francisco and where to go to. We've done a couple of podcasts about it. I think we did one 2 years ago and one last year, if I'm not mistaken. Just search for it, same platforms where you can find all this. But if you do have any question, obviously get on the Facebook group. The Discord is probably going to start getting a bit busier again now that we're starting. Just ask questions to either of us or Paul on all the socials or anyone, and you'll get good answers. People are nice here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hope I can make it. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But
I think there was also a Goldmine podcast from the guys who went out last season.
we did
was.
do that. That was the
Yeah.
last thing we did actually.
So,
we're back.
If you are sitting on the fence, which I mean you shouldn't be, but if you need something to nudge you over, then go and check out the Goldmine podcast. 'Cause I think you guys captured what it was to be there, really, and a little bit of the atmosphere.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried.
Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen. I think we've wrapped up a first show with no technical hitches.
We're back.
And
Yay.
not too much. Almost all of it went to plan. So that clearly needs to change. So thanks for joining me, guys. We will be back.
Thank you.
We'll be back soon to pick apart the Raiders game and maybe evaluate some of those players that maybe caught our eye, maybe putting their hands up to make an impact this season. Hope you've enjoyed the show, particularly if you're a new listener. We will be trying to do, certainly when the season starts, we do 2 shows a week, a game preview and a game review show. Until the season starts, we may not be every week, but certainly a few things to look forward to. Our season predictions, that's usually a bit of a good show, and a bit of fun. Not all of our predictions are entirely serious. I don't think we don't make a living out of being a content creator, and so we can stick our necks out a little bit further than some other people, and certainly that's one of the shows that I enjoy. Thanks for joining me, guys. Hope to catch the rest of you on the podcast.
Thanks for hosting.
No problem, mate. I always enjoy it. Always a pleasure with you two. Keep me on my toes. Until then, go Niners.
Go Niners.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in the heart. Like Joe Montana in the corner, D. Clark. Gareth and Hurst, stiff farm going 99. Don't get it twisted, one and all with prime time. John Taylor, Jerry Rice down the